Chapter 17, The Gardener of Silence.
At the edge of a desert plateau, where wind carved the earth into ripples of gold, lived an old man known as the Gardener of Silence. His home was a modest hut surrounded by a barren stretch of land, cracked soil, no shade, no water. Yet travelers claimed that when they returned months later, flowers bloomed where silence once slept. They believed he possessed a magic that coaxed beauty from nothing. One morning, a young musician named Ilya visited. His mind was loud, filled with melodies, ambitions, expectations. He was celebrated across distant cities, but applause no longer satisfied him. Every achievement left him wanting more. His creativity had become strained, mechanical. Each composition felt heavy. He heard rumors that the Gardener of Silence helped those whose hearts had become noisy. Ilya arrived with instruments strapped to his back and questions burning in his mind. The gardener greeted him with a nod, offering neither introduction nor conversation. He gestured to the barren ground and handed Ilya a wooden spade. "Dig." Ilya waited for instruction. None came, so he dug. Hours passed beneath the desert sun. Finally, exhausted, he asked, "What am I digging for?" "For stillness." Ilya frowned. "How do you dig for that?" The gardener said nothing. For days, Ilya dug. He planted seeds in dry soil. He watered ground that drank every drop. Nothing grew. He grew frustrated. "This is pointless," the gardener replied. "Pointlessness is often the doorway." Ilya did not understand. He continued digging. One evening, he collapsed in frustration. "I came here to find inspiration, to fill myself. Instead, I feel emptier." The gardener finally spoke. "Good. Now you are ready to learn." He pointed at the barren field. "This land was once noisy, filled with weeds. I did not plant flowers. I removed noise. Only then could life grow." Ilya realized that his mind, too, was overgrown, tangled with pride, fear, and comparison. He had been trying to add more sound, more achievement, more praise, without removing anything. The gardener led him to a small plot near the hut. It was filled with quiet blossoms, white, delicate, swaying gently. Beauty is not created by force. It emerges when space is honored. So silence is the soil? No, silence is the gardener. The soil is your being. You have spent years trying to compose new music, but music does not come from adding notes. It comes from listening, from the space between notes. He tapped Ilya's chest. "Your heart is crowded. There is no room for new music." Ilya felt those words like a sting. He realized he had been filling himself with noise, relentless thinking, ambition, self-judgment. Believing noise was creativity. In truth, it had been choking his inner voice. The gardener instructed him, "Each morning, sit in the field. Say nothing. Do nothing. Listen." Ilya obeyed. At first, it was torture. His mind replayed unfinished melodies, imagined audiences, evaluated possibilities. Silence felt like failure. But slowly, something shifted. The noise began to loosen. Thoughts grew softer. Emotions rose, then melted. The wind became louder than his mind. In that space, he began to hear something new. Not music, but awareness. Gentle, subtle, like a seed stirring under soil. Weeks passed. One morning, Ilya noticed a single green sprout where he had once dug. He laughed. It worked. The gardener shook his head. No, you worked. The soil does not respond to desire, but to presence. More sprouts emerged, not because Ilya forced growth, but because he cultivated silence. Beauty arrived slowly, naturally. One evening, while sitting among the young plants, Ilya heard a melody, simple, soft, unlike anything he had composed before. It did not come from thought. It rose from stillness, like a flower rising from quiet earth. He wept. He asked the gardener, "How do I keep this?" The gardener smiled. "You cannot keep silence. You can only return to it. Inspiration is visitation, not possession." He added, "You came seeking music, but what you needed was emptiness. Silence is the source from which all creation emerges. Noise is the distraction that buries it." Ilya stayed for months, learning to tend both soil and self. He learned that silence was not absence, but attention, not emptiness, but fullness. He found that stillness did not kill passion, it purified it. Before leaving, he asked, "What should I do when the noise returns?" The gardener pointed to the soil. "Weed and listen." Ilya bowed. He returned to his city a transformed artist. His music became spacious, carrying the quiet strength of sunrise, the softness of evening wind. Audiences felt peace when they listened, as though the music made room for their own stillness. He no longer composed to impress, but to express, not to be heard, but to listen. Years later, people traveled to hear him play. Some asked where his inspiration came from. Ilya would smile and say, "I learned to stop speaking long enough to hear what was already singing within." The gardener of silence teaches that creativity is not born from noise, but from presence, that inspiration cannot enter a crowded mind, that the most fertile ground is stillness. Most people fear silence. They rush to fill it. They think it means emptiness. But silence is the place where everything begins. The world is loud, but the soul speaks softly. Only those who cultivate silence can hear it.
Chapter 18. The Thread Between Worlds.
Long ago, in a mountain city built of obsidian and mist, there lived a group of weavers known as the Luminars. They crafted no garments. Instead, they wove invisible threads said to connect the seen and unseen worlds, the realm of form and the realm of meaning. Their workshop sat at the highest peak, where the wind carried whispers from beyond. People traveled great distances to watch them weave, though no cloth could be seen. The Luminars worked in silence, hands moving with reverence. Some said they were weaving fate. Others said they were weaving memory. The Luminars never corrected either claim. One day, a young historian named Usha climbed the mountain. She sought to understand the nature of destiny. She believed the world was a closed system, measurable, predictable. She viewed myth as fiction, spirituality as metaphor. Yet a subtle emptiness gnawed at her, a sense that logic did not hold the full story. When she arrived, she expected explanations, Instead, the Luminars offered her a seat and continued weaving nothing. Asha watched for hours, confused. What are you making? Bridges. Between what? Between who you think you are and who you truly are. Asha frowned. I thought you wove threads. We do, but thread is only the body. The bridge is the becoming. She sat quietly, unsure how to respond. Eventually, the eldest Luminar approached. His eyes carried the softness of someone who had seen beyond reason and returned willingly. You came seeking meaning, but meaning is not learned, it is recognized. He gestured toward a loom, a massive wooden frame holding no fabric. Sit. Asha obeyed. Take this. Asha felt nothing, yet she sensed weight. She placed the thread on the loom awkwardly. I don't understand. That is how every weaving begins, not with understanding, but with attention. He guided her hands gently. Do not look for the thread with your eyes. Feel for it with your being. She closed her eyes. Slowly, she sensed something, a subtle vibration between her fingers, like a memory of touch. Whispering, what is this? A moment you have not yet lived. A possibility waiting for your courage. The loom began to glow faintly. She felt as though her hands were moving through water, yet the movement came from her, not to her. What am I weaving? Connection. Every choice you make binds you to what you are becoming. A life is not a path, it is a tapestry. And every thought, every action, every intention is a thread. You mean destiny? Destiny is not fixed, it is woven. He pointed to another thread shimmering in the air. Some threads are given. Your birth, your gifts, your wounds. Others must be chosen. What happens if we do not choose? Then the tapestry remains unfinished, and an unfinished tapestry frays. Asha sat silently. Her rational mind resisted, but another part of her recognized the truth, the part that had always felt unseen, forces guiding her life. The Luminar guided her to weave a second thread. This time, she felt a sense of memory, a moment from her childhood when she had felt deeply connected to everything, though she had long dismissed it as imagination. That thread connects you to innocence, a world without separation. Are all experiences woven like this? No, only the ones you accept. Some threads enter your life and remain loose, possibilities you never choose. Others tangle when you resist. Some snap when you cling too tightly. How do we weave well? By being honest with yourself. The loom of the universe responds to truth, not desire. He guided her to another thread. She sensed grief, a sorrow she had buried. Her hands trembled. I don't want to weave this. The Luminar shook his head. Then it will remain loose, and loose threads pull at everything. Asha closed her eyes and wove. Tears fell. The grief softened. The thread settled. You have healed what you accepted. Why must sorrow be woven? Sorrow is not an interruption. It is color. Without it, the tapestry lacks depth. Pain that is integrated becomes wisdom. Pain that is avoided becomes a knot. Days passed. Asha learned that weaving was not about controlling life, but acknowledging it. Each thread, joy, grief, fear, curiosity, had its place. Together, they formed a story. One evening, the Luminar brought her to a tapestry woven long ago. It shimmered with hidden dimensions, radiant, alive. This belongs to a man who loved fully, failed honestly, and rose consistently. Asha touched it. She felt warmth, memory, presence. She sensed not his achievements, but his sincerity. This is what a completed tapestry feels like. What happens when a tapestry is complete? It becomes a bridge to the next world. Asha felt a quiet truth inside her. Destiny was not a script to follow, but an art to create. The thread between worlds was the tension between who she had been and who she could become. Before she left, the Luminar placed an invisible thread in her hand. You will feel this when you stand at a crossroads. It will remind you that choosing is weaving, and not choosing is still choosing. Asha descended the mountain changed. She no longer sought certainty. Instead, she sought honesty, with herself, with her path. She learned to recognize threads. Some brought expansion, some brought contraction, but all asked to be felt. She began living deliberately, weaving with intention rather than fear. Her life grew textured, vivid. She realized that the worlds, inner and outer, physical and unseen, were not separate. The thread between them was her awareness, weaving, always weaving. Most people believe fate happens to them. Few understand they are co-weavers. The universe offers thread, but only you can place it on the loom. The thread between worlds is your choice.